things that we might even call God. And with some of those thoughts comes like stirrings in me about like the ways that that's not been used so well. And I want to sing this next tune with some of that in mind, I guess, because it comes actually, the song is called Justice Will Roll Down. And as we talk about things like the situation in Gaza today, I want to lean toward some of these things like this hope that justice will come in our places of our world where we feel oppression and we're unsure how we play into some of that. And this song actually comes from a prophet in the Bible. And prophet's name is Amos. And I think it's just kind of gutsy, if you ask me, for anyone to claim to speak on behalf of God. That's what Amos does. And similarly, this Nashville singer-songwriter, Sandra McCracken, that I enjoy, she also kind of takes that and runs with it. And so it's kind of a gutsy song, but especially gutsy because when you take this, let me just read. Give me just a moment here to read this, where this comes from. This passage says, from God, I despise your festivals, and I take no delight in your solemn assemblies. Even though you offer me your burnt offerings and grain offerings, I will not accept them, and the offerings of well-being for your fatted animals I will not look upon. Take away from me the noise of your songs, and I will not listen to the melody of your harps. But let justice roll down like water and righteousness like an ever-flowing stream. And I think, like, as a songwriter myself, taking some of those words and putting them into a song, like, yeah, all right, props there. But so if you hear a little bit of that kind of maybe religious language, I would encourage you to just, take it with a grain of salt and sing along as you will. Pain. Sorry, I got to tune this too. I should have been doing that while I'm talking, but I'm a terrible multitasker. So yeah, unearthed. We're going to unearth some of our own feelings and wonderings while we look at these big things. Again, this is Justice Will Roll Down by Sandra McCracken. A good one to clap to. Oh, my love, you have grown so cold to the world outside, to the house next door. She who has been loved so much has so much to give. Mercy is the fragrance of the broken. And this is the part you might recognize and sing along with. Here. Justice will roll down. Oh, justice will roll down from high upon those mountains with a mighty river sound. It will roll down. Will roll down. Child, I will be your light in your secret pain, in the dark of night. No enemy, no conqueror can steal a life from me. Well, I am your salvation and your victory. Justice, sing it out. Justice will roll down. Oh, justice will roll down upon those mountains with a mighty river sound. It will roll down. It will roll down. Soon, when the trumpet sounds, every knee shall bend, and every heart will pound. I have made a new world where the servant is the king. Oppression will be over when the slave's set free. Justice will roll down. Oh, justice will roll down. From high upon those mountains with a mighty river sound. It will roll down. Will roll down. It will roll down. Will roll down. Thanks. You can go ahead and have a seat, please.
Welcome, Fabric. I'm Maya, and I love this community so much and all of you people who make it up. Right now, on the count of 3, if you are a kid and you are ready to go to scuba, you're going to follow that very cool mantis shrimp there. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, go! Go, go, go! The time is now! If you are not quite ready for scuba and are 2 years or younger, there is the Nest. That is a quieter, safer place where Lily is going to maybe help out too. Yes, wonderful. So right now, you just witnessed all that very fun excitement, and that is because every school year, kind of in April and May, we put on a finale series. And I say we because there are certain people who do a lot of work on that, like Della and Heidi specifically. But we are all a part of this community, and whether you know about it or not, you are totally making scuba happen. It's a very fun part of the year where our high schoolers and middle schoolers, and even the 4th and 5th graders are kind of elevated to these cool leadership positions, which our kids need practice with leadership, and that's exactly what this is. And then all the littles, they get to be absolutely amazed by fun skits and cool activities and mantis shrimps, and it's just a really fun time for everyone. If you haven't gotten your cup of coffee or tea or water, it's just around the corner. You'll also find bathrooms there. There's a gender-neutral bathroom if you follow the arrows to the teacher's lounge. Feel free to get up throughout the gathering and drink coffee whenever you want to. If you haven't gotten your Sunday paper yet, this is filled with a lot of great information and has a nice way to engage with the message. If Ian's being really boring, or Jenny, our guest, is just really confusing, this might help you follow along. We have our communication cards too. This community has really supported me specifically this year, but I think it's always a community that's supporting a lot of other people and everybody here. And you can write those things that you're holding that you don't want to hold alone on the back of the communication card. You can also write the things that really grind your gears about Sunday morning that you want somebody to know about, and maybe it'll change if you give us some feedback there. Another reason I'm very excited about this time of year is It is the time of the Spring Giving Challenge, and this is the last Sunday of the Spring Giving Challenge, which is pretty exciting because we are killing it as usual. So let's hear it for the Spring Giving Challenge, people. Woo! Yeah. So our goal this year is to raise our monthly auto giving. This is what keeps our community running throughout the year. This is what keeps us sustainable. We are going to raise our monthly auto giving by $1,500. We are up to $1,740. So we have blown that goal out of the water, which is amazing. Our goal of $30,000 is very close. We're at $27,777. And my favorite goal, because this community needs to be a place for everybody, where everybody are supporting in their own little ways. Like, we don't need 3 giant, massive donors. We need everybody to help out in their own little way. So our participation goal is 100 participants, and we are at 96. We need 4 more participants today. And when we reach that goal, because we will, somebody, specifically the 100th donor, is going to smush some cake into Ian's face, and we need to make it happen, okay? We gotta make it happen. So, in the meantime, if you, for sure, bring out your phone, go to fabricmpls.com/give, or there is a QR code in the Sunday paper. Do your part if you can or want to. Everybody else, get up, shake it out, and find somebody you haven't talked to or a new person and say hello.
It looks like you can hear me. So, hello, live streamers. If you're watching actually live, I have my phone up so I can see chats. If you would like to add a hello and where you're watching from, that's always fun to hear. So I'm here at Field. I'm going to hold the microphone so you can hear the buzz. Okay, do you feel that energy? Do you feel that connection from where you are? I hope so. We're so glad to be able to connect this way, and just wishing you a meaningful time as you sit with us now, or maybe you're watching it on like Wednesday morning or some other time. And just thanks for being daring enough to dive into these big topics. When we do it as a community and over time with people that we practice with and don't try to perfect, and people who all admit that they're still learning and stay curious, as well as passionate about the things they care about, we can do a lot, we can hold a lot, and we continue to grow in that together. So thanks for joining us however you can, and a happy Sunday. Yeah, and by the way, I'm Melissa. Yeah. Hey, John Kearns, thanks for the hello and the shout out. Good morning from a few blocks away. Perfect. All right, so others, you too. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. And then we kind of leave the ambient.
Well, take a breath and maybe wonder if you're talking to someone you might be able to connect with a little bit more later on. Let's sing a little bit more together. It's getting harder to hear my heart these days. Harder to hear my heart. There's so much culture in the way. There's so much culture in the way. It's getting harder to hear my voice these days. Harder to hear my voice. There's so many voices in the way. There's so many voices in the way. Oh, somebody save me. Somebody save me. I don't wanna be cool. Oh, somebody shine a light on this soul tonight. I don't wanna be right. It's getting harder to hear the truth these days. Harder to hear the truth. There's so much money in the way. There's so much money in the way. It's getting harder to hear from God these days. Harder to hear from God. There's just so much religion in the way. There's so much superstition in the way. Sing this. Oh, somebody save me. Somebody save me. I don't wanna be cool. Oh, somebody shine a light on this soul tonight. I don't wanna be right. It's getting harder to hear the love these days. Harder to hear the love. There's so much criticism in the way. So much ammunition in the way. It's getting harder to hear hope these days. Harder to hear the hope. There's so much journalism in the way. There's so much ammunition in the way. Oh, somebody save me. Somebody save me. I don't wanna be cool. Oh, somebody shine a light on this soul tonight. I don't wanna be right. Oh, somebody shine the light on these souls tonight. We don't need to be right. It's getting harder to hear my heart these days. Harder to hear my heart. There's so much culture in the way. There's so much culture in the way.
Thank you, Chris and the band. That song hit me right in the feels. Wow. Good morning, Fabric. Good morning. How are you all doing? It's a beautiful day, and you're in here. It's so good to be together. I'm so grateful for that. We are going to dive into kind of a new little mini arc this week in the Unearthed series. We've been on a journey together. We started talking about political polarization and kind of focusing on interpersonal relationships and how might we address the fear, kind of turn the fear down in those conversations. And then we dove into climate change, and we're kind of focusing on how do we build skill for remaining in the conversation when we're facing an existential threat, right? And now today we are going to talk about something that, this is, of all the topics that I've asked people about, what do you want to hear, what do you want to talk about, what's churning in your guts, Gaza is the thing that keeps coming up consistently. And so today we're going to talk a little bit about it and learn a little bit about it. And I'm really, really excited to welcome our guests today. Because when I think about Gaza and Palestine and Israel, I recognize almost immediately how much of an expert I am not. And the first person that I thought that I wanted to invite for this conversation is a colleague of mine, Pastor Jenny Sung, who's with us from ELCA Samud, and we're going to hear from her. So let's all give a warm round of applause and welcome to Jenny. Thanks for being here.
Oh, my joy. It is good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
And thanks for doing the brave work of being willing to have this conversation. I know a lot of churches that may not be up to the challenge. So glad to be here.
Would you just mind introducing yourself? Like a little bit about who you are and what's your journey been like, and what is this Samud that you work for?
Yes, absolutely. So I am Jenny Sung. I'm a free-range pastor for people with free-range faith. And I'm an adventurer, a traveler. I like to be out there in the world, and so I assume other people like to be that too. And so a lot of the work I do is on digital ministry, and then some in-person events, speaking events, writing events, but got wrapped up into Samud because I started working with a travel company, Elias Tours, that would bring people to the Holy Land. And I thought I would go to the Holy Land, check it off the list. It's not a place I was really passionate about going to or seeing or exploring. However, I went, and the way that I saw the hospitality and God in the people there, it just drew me in. And the history, I mean, things are old there, like really old. And I love being a history person. I love the historical, learning more, touching things, seeing things, feeling things. And so just fell in love with the Holy Land. And then, of course, before that even, George Floyd happened here in the Twin Cities. And that really shook the Twin Cities along with the United States. And I started doing work with housing unhoused people and donations and street med teams and getting involved. And it just really became a core part of the ministry I was doing, is like ministry in the streets with people. And what I realized is when I went to Palestine, Israel, is George Floyd happens multiple times a day and to children. And it just shook me. And it made me stand up and pay attention a little bit to what's happening and what's going on and why is this going on and how can I be a part of making this a more just seeking place and work with the people there. The thing I love about Samud, so Samud is an Arabic word that means steadfastness. It is an existence, it's a resistance through existence. So it's saying, I refuse to be erased. And so I will continue to exist in my fullness and my wholeness. And Samud is this idea, it's an Arabic rich cultural word that just means this like this like rooting in, deepening, and this coming to and existing in your wholeness. And so I came across Samud as the launch coordinator because I love talking about things I love, and I love the Holy Lands, and I love Palestinian and Israel, and I love having these conversations. So that's what got me into Samud. Samud is essentially the church's response to the occupation. The ELCA said, how are we going to show up in this very complex, complicated, hard space? And the one place they landed is that we are against the occupation. And so we can get more into that soon.
Yeah, I hope we do. Yeah. Well, we're grateful to have you with us. One of the things that I really admire about Jenny is the way that she's able to talk about this stuff and kind of hold us tenderly in it. And so whether that's in person and events like this or on TikTok and Instagram and all the places that you exist in the digital sphere, I'm really grateful for the way that you show up in these conversations. So thanks for being with us. So we have wondered about Gaza, and we've not really talked a lot about it, but I feel like one of the pervasive things that I keep hearing within this community and in the neighborhood and in my own body is this kind of heart sickness about what's happening right now. And I feel also, like, I'll admit, like, I get kind of frozen on this because I don't know always how to talk about it. I don't feel confident that I know enough about kind of the history of Israel and Palestine and what do those words even mean. You know, like there's the geopolitical piece, there's the religious piece, there's the oh my goodness of it all. And so understanding that there's a long and storied history and that in order to kind of get us all on the same page, you might need to speak in broad strokes.
Yeah.
Would you mind telling us a little bit about just the history? Like, lay the groundwork for what's happening now.
Sure, absolutely. So when you think about an expert talking about Israel, Palestine, Israel, you don't necessarily think of a Korean adoptee woman who's a pastor. God is funny. And so when I talk about not knowing what you're talking about, that's where we all start. And that's where we all start from. And that's where I feel like I started not that long ago. So when I think about the history, I'm going to share from my perspective because I'm never going to pretend to be Jewish or Israeli or Palestinian because I'm just not. So I'm not going to try to speak from their voice. But I will say, growing up Lutheran, I grew up with the story of Israel being welcomed back to the Holy Land as a land without a people and a people without a land, and that they were going to make it bloom in the desert. And we think, yay, this is so great that they have a land, they have a place, the desert's going to bloom. And then there's another story of that same exact time that I've learned more recently, is that land wasn't without a people. It had people in the land. And in 1948, they were unearthed from their land, from their homes, from their places, and pushed out, and continue to be pushed out. And so what happened now is, for me, learning this new narrative of something that I thought I already knew, it helped me understand, one, I don't know everything, but two, also, that God is doing something that I want to be a part of there, even if I don't know the specifics. One thing I tell a lot of people often is it is complicated, it is layered, there's a history there, but it's not so complicated you can't understand it. What language does a baby cry in? You know, how do we get back to our human roots of understanding story versus trying to go in with all of our ideologies, politics, thinking we're right, thinking we're fighting for something. I love having, and I know this isn't everybody, but I do enjoy having conversations with people that have a different opinion, because it gives me an opportunity to break open a little bit and maybe hear how God's moving in a way that I'm closing myself off to. And so my hope is that we can today have conversations together. I'm going to call out a little bit, and hope that you respond a little bit, because this is a conversation, and part of the conversation is practicing our brave voice. And so being brave in our voice, knowing that we might not have it all put together. Like, what gets in the way of talking about Palestine, Israel for you? You can just shout it out if you want to.
Being called anti-Semitic.
Ooh,
Being
yeah,
called
been there.
anti-Semitic, yep.
Yeah, absolutely. What else gets in the way of you wanting to talk or wanting to even learn about what's happening in Gaza? Ignorance. I don't know everything, right? Yeah. Say it again. Antifada. Yep. Absolutely. And some people are like, what's that word? That's why we're here, right? To learn together, to have space and spaciousness, to not have it all figured out, but to lean in together and wonder what's going on there and how are we called to respond.
I love that. Yeah. So, for me, one of the reasons that I might choose to not look up at this is that once I see something, I can't unsee it.
Ooh.
Right?
Uh-huh.
And I've come to know most of what I know about what's happening right now because the algorithm on my social media feeds is giving it to me.
Super real.
Yep. And I thought I have a responsibility to look at this. So I started following some accounts, right? And so I have a particular lens through which I'm seeing this. It's really violent and it's really ugly.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, how would you characterize what's happening right now? Help us to understand what we're seeing a little bit more. Now, you said that there were people there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So oftentimes when I go to the Holy Land with people, I will bring them to Yad Vashem, which is the Holocaust Museum in Jerusalem. And that very same day, I bring them to the Waldorf Hotel, which is the Palestinian story of what's happening right now. And I say, it's not that there's good guys and bad guys, it's that there is a human story being lived out right now that we have a calling to interrupt. Right? This story is, I can take what's mine, or this is mine, this is not yours. This is an ideology that you can ethnic cleanse a whole people group, right? And so it's getting into the roots of recognizing those moments where you realize, I don't know exactly what's happening, but I know something's not right. And I just want to talk about that with people. And so how I would categorize this, I'm not supposed to say this word, and I don't always do what I'm not supposed to do, or sometimes I do. And so to me, it looks like genocide. It looks categorically like the ethnic cleansing of a whole people group. And there are people that are standing up, standing out, talking about it, because there's a difference between, oh, that's just their business and we have no reason to get involved. We are involved. We are already sending weapons. We are already having our money go towards facilitating this violence. And so I've had conversations with people who in Arizona and Tucson who are in the factories making the bombs, who are having an identity crisis, right? Of this was just a job, and now I'm seeing what happens with these bombs. And I think that's part of our job as people that believe there's holiness in all of us, is to not look away. It's so tempting, it's so easy. The couch of patriarchy, and insert whatever words you want, is so comfortable and so cozy, and it's so much easier to lay down on the couch. But I think we're called right now in this time, in this place, to look and not look away. And to have the courage to say, wow, this is really hard. But to lean in together.
Yeah, yeah. How's the sitting in everybody? You feel anything?
Woo.
Yeah? I designed the Sunday paper a little differently today. Sometimes, most often, we have like fill-ins and places to take notes and things like that. Today, what I'm hoping is that as you notice something happening in your body, for me, I have already used this in our conversation, drawing where I feel a pit in my stomach and a tightness in my chest and a lump in my throat. And I might scribble a hole right through this page on this part of it. There's a lot of embodied practices on this that I hope you try out, whether it's the square breathing, where you inhale for 4 seconds. Should we try this together just one time? Inhale for 4 seconds. Hold it. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 4, 3, 2, 1, and hold it. There's all sorts of practices on here that I would invite you to try as you are feeling something churning in you. Tools that will help us in our bodies to stay in it, to keep our heads up and out of the sand. And permission to stand up if you need to and wiggle. This is one way that me and my kids process our big feelings. And if you think I look silly, I do, and that's okay. Feel free to get up and move if you need to. Wiggle around. It's not silly. It's human.
Yeah.
Maybe it is human and silly. That's who we are. So please, please, please hear that permission. It is not impolite to stand up and move and to do what your body needs, okay? Now, back into it. So the magnitude of, the magnitude of this is significant. And as a community, Fabric is a community that is always seeking to recognize the deep interconnectedness and wovenness of ourselves with all others, with that divine force many call God, right? To continually develop the capacity to show up for hard conversations, and to look at difficult things with good courage and holding conviction and curiosity at the same time, in tension with one another, and seeking both better questions and more healthy ways of being in this world. And so, Jenny, I'm curious to hear from you about how you approach your work in a way that helps you to avoid feeling despair or feeling denial or like freezing out. How do you approach your work and stay as human as possible?
Yeah, I think the honest answer is community. I think, sorry, I keep playing with my mic because it flips. So there are days where I hear from our Palestinian siblings just the climate of what's happening for them right now, and it is very disparaging. It is very hard. And then I go get my hair done. You know, so it's one of those things where it's like, oh, dang it, like, it's hard to be a human in the world in a place of such privilege, and almost not feel bad about it sometimes, but to use that privilege to move forward things that I wouldn't be able to do alone. So for example, that did happen. I got my hair colored and just felt super bad about it. Just like, who am I? Why would I, and my friend said, sometimes you need those little things or big things, depending on your budget. For me, it's a big thing to help self-care and self-soothe, so that you can get back into it. one of the connections made with my hairdresser, oddly enough, so I'd say maybe a God thing even, is connecting with people that they knew in Palestine, who is a group of widows who are very down and out right now, and connecting with them I connected with them so that they can make kofiyas for people, and that we can sell the kofiyas and that it can go back into them and back into Palestine, back directly to these families. And so it's like, there's sometimes where you're like called to do random things or wild things, but it's hard to do it alone. And so the other thing that I find hope in, because it's easy to wallow, is looking at our actual Palestinian siblings who are the definition of samud, the definition of this steadfastness, this keep on going, this I will not give up, I will not refuse to exist in my wholeness. I think we all have so much to learn from the resistance through existence. I wish all of us could show up, hopefully today, but every day, with the audacity to be our whole self and not allow our culture, not allow other things erase pieces of our identities, including name calling, right? Why we don't stand up is because there's this hard place of finding the nuance of you can be anti-occupation and not be anti-Semitic. And we need to be able to have that language to say that. It's nuanced, but it's not so complicated that we can't get it. I think that complication is used as a blanket to look away. And I think it's our opportunity to look at, to name. This is one of the great things I love about being Lutheran, specifically, is we're supposed to name a thing what it is. Right? So naming something, naming it genocide, naming it, when something is truly anti-Semitic, to name it anti-Semitic, but also name when it's not. And standing up and showing up in those ways. And so I'm finding a lot of hope in our Palestinian siblings in the way that they represent samud, that steadfastness, but also in my friends and colleagues who remind me to care for myself every now and then.
Yeah. Thank you. That feels permission-giving to be able to speak with nuance, but also that, like, taking care of ourselves isn't just a privilege. It's not just an escape or kind of a coping mechanism, but actually I can get back in. If I can take care of me, I can get back in the game.
Right? And taking care of me is taking care of we, right? Stepping in, knowing when to step forward, knowing when to step back.
Yeah.
Because we need to learn how to do both.
Yep. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Where do you find the most hope in your work?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I talk about this because I find hope there.
Yeah.
But in the Holy Land right now, in the Holy Land, we have about 2,000 Lutheran Christians. You may not identify as Lutheran or Christian, and it's totally fine. And I'm talking about this very specific group of Lutheran Christians in the Holy Land right now. With this very small 2,000 people group, they have built a hospital of Augusta Victoria. It's one of the only hospitals that Palestinians and refugees can go to get help for cancer treatment, for children that need to have kidney transplants. It's a place where people are where life is happening. Not only that, but we have 4 K through 12th grade schools that are for everybody, not just Lutherans, not just Christians. The way that they're showing up in the world is saying this is for everybody. Seeing the gender justice that's happening in the Middle East right now is amazing. We just had our very first local Palestinian woman ordained in the Lutheran Church, which made a lot of splashes, but it stands by, no, this is for everybody. When I see people that are willing to have the hard conversations, the brave conversations, that lights my hope and my heart on fire, because that's what we need more of. And so you showing up here, being willing to have these conversations, gives me hope that there will be this many more conversations happening in the world that are just a little more brave. They don't have to be like all the way over here, but just a little more like, what do you think about that, right? How do you show up in that space? Yeah, agreeing that there are hard spaces and hard things that we don't know, but what are some of the things we do know, right? Leaning into our own personal stories of what we see, what we hear, how we feel. Some people will even just say, as a mother, it's so hard to see that there's 13 children a day that go without their mothers. Every day another 13 lose their mothers, and so it's just leaning into those stories of how does this pull at me, how does this pull at my gut and invite me to step forward or step back.
Yeah, thank you. As we sort of prepare to close our time, I'm wondering, what are some resources that we might be equipped with, that we might become aware of, that could help us to dive into the conversation, to step forward into action or accompaniment or just raising awareness? What kind of tools would you recommend?
Yeah, so I do recommend Samud. We have our webpage, elca.org/Samud. We also have a Facebook and Instagram, but also Churches for Middle East Peace has a lot of great resources. NRA has a lot of great resources. And so those are some places that I encourage you to look. Having conversations also with people that feel differently than you. I know it's hard, and you are not a house of cards, right? So if somebody pulls one card, it doesn't mean you are going to come tumbling down. And so recognizing that you have that, John O'Donohue says there's a place in you that has never been wounded, that has never been hurt, where there is still a sureness. And that is that Holy Spirit space that we all have in us that can recognize it in one another, and that goes into loving one another, even when we disagree. Not easy stuff, but life wasn't promised to be easy.
I wish it were differently, but that's the truth.
We have good news too. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, right, yeah. We, just so you're aware, on our website, our resources website, so fabricmpls.com/unearthed, the title of this series, is where we've got some resources listed from previous weeks, but also today there's a whole bunch of resources that I just skimmed right out of the Samud website, so videos and some conversations and conversation starters and resources that can help us to get grounded a little bit in the conversation and hopefully equip us for continuing to look at this. And so you can check that out. Jenny, any kind of final thought from you?
Yeah, I would just say I'm open. You can connect with me on social media or email jenny@jennysung.org. I'm open to having conversations with you individually as well. I know that we all have our own different backgrounds and our own different experiences and different people that surround us or conversations we feel called to. And so open to having those one-on-one conversations as well to encourage you to use your brave voice.
Can we thank Jenny for being with us today? Thank you so much. And as the band comes back up, I want to just thank you all for the way that you show up. I mean, the biggest gift that we give one another is our time, our space, our voice, our presence. And so thank you for showing up in these conversations and also for the ways that you support Fabric financially and otherwise. We don't know if we've hit 100 people yet. We're going to hear about that for the Spring Giving Challenge. But I hope whoever's number 100, when they smoosh my face with cake, it's in the mouth part of the face. We'll find out. We'll take a moment to pass these baskets down the rows. You can put your communication card in there, and we would love to hear from you. So thanks for being here. Band, take it away.
history before mine starts. You and I share a heart since mine gave up. And your love is my blood. Your love is my blood. You remind me of why I break my hands. You remind me of why I move my feet. You remind me of why I give a damn. You remind me of the breaking love I need. The breaking love I need. You and I have a history before mine starts. You and I share a heart since mine gave up. And your love is my blood, and your love is my blood. You remind me of why I break my hands. You remind me of why I move my feet. You remind me of why I give a damn. You remind me of the breaking love I need. You remind me of everything poured out. You remind me of my identity. You remind me of why I call this home. You remind me of the breaking love I need. The breaking love I need. Sing you and I. You and I have a history before mine starts. You and I share a heart since mine gave up. Thanks. Let's go ahead and stand up and sing this last one together. Here we come to a turning of the season. Witness to the arc towards the sun. Neighbor's blessed burden within reason. It's a burden born of all in one. Nobody knows. Let the yoke fall from our shoulders. Don't carry it all, don't carry it all. We are all our hands and holders beneath this bold and brilliant sun. This I swear to all. to build beneath the arbors, on a plinth that towers toward the trees. Every pistol pitching hard to starboard, lay its head on summer's freckled knees. Nobody knows. Let the yoke fall from our shoulders. Don't carry it all, don't carry it all. We are all our hands and holders. This bold and brilliant sun. This I swear to all. There a wreath of trillium and ivy laid upon the body of the boy, and lazy will the loam come from its hiding and return this quiet searcher to the soil. So raise a glass to turnings of the season. Watch it as it arcs towards the sun. You must bear your neighbor's burden within reason. Your labors will be born when all is done. Nobody knows. Let the yoke fall from our shoulders. Don't carry it all, don't carry it all. We are all our hands and holders. This bold and brilliant sun. This I swear to all. 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 To all, to all, to all, to all, to all.
All right, stay standing, Fabric, because we reached our goal. Woo! We actually got 107 donors. Woo! And we surpassed our $30,000 goal. So you all are incredible. And, okay, drum roll, please, for the cake swisher. Livia, come on down. You have to do it. You have to do it. Come on, come on. Oh, he's ready. He's so ready. Wait, the cake hasn't even been cut. Okay, we're giving you a big piece. Not on the rug. Okay, hold out your hand. Hold out your hand.
I should probably take these out.
All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Ah! Woo! Amazing! That was the best ever. Do you want to say anything?
Does anyone want any cake? I'm serving right out of my hands. Yay! Thank you all so much for your support. It's so good to be Fabric and to be able to do this, to have this kind of community, these kind of conversations, this kind of face paint. It is so good to be here. Thank you so much. Give yourselves a round of applause.
All right.
Oh, it's really good.
There you go. I can tell by the way it fell.
Have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy this weather. We'll see you next week.